Hello and welcome back to my channel. Before I get into today's video, I just want to make a small note that I know that content creators are going back to their regular posting schedules and their regular content going up on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, whatever. I just want to implore all of you to continue with the movement and continue educating ourselves with what's been happening in the world. And I think the conversation can start from home. There's a lot of talk right now on the situation in Singapore, and I think it's also great that there's light being shed on this topic that is actually very close to my heart, but I never speak about it publicly. So I just want to implore all of you to continue supporting the movement. Let's not forget what has happened. Let's not make this a trend. People's lives are at stakes, and I'll continue to be signing petitions, donating, doing whatever I can, and I hope you will too. If you want to listen to my latest episode of my podcast, I do talk about that with a friend of mine. I'll leave it in the link below. Okay, let's get into today's video. So I watched Netflix 13 Reasons Why season 4 in 2 days, and I have some thoughts. Now my thoughts are kind of all over the place. I didn't write them down, I didn't organize it. I just wanted to talk about it candidly. I'm not a professional reviewer. This is not a review with my siblings. It's just me talking about a show that I've watched, and I just want to share my thoughts, and I want to have a discussion with people because whenever I watch TV shows, I can't keep quiet about it. I need to like talk about it with someone. So since this is quite fresh in my head, it was a very different show that was very necessary to be on mainstream media. Now I know there are a lot of different controversies about it. I do also feel that, you know, it could have been executed better. I think that there could have been a lot more trigger warnings in season 1, but I do believe that they did take that and what do you call it? Like, they did take the input from season 1 and they definitely implemented it in the following season. So towards the ending of season 2, Tyler got raped by Monty, and that scene is still like in my head, and that led him to want to carry out a school shooting. Season 3, it shows Tyler's recovery, if I'm not wrong, and how it focuses a lot on Tyler. And I actually really was a fan of season 3. I think season 3 was an amazing season. It hit close to home, and there was a certain scene in season 3 where everyone stands up in the gym and goes, "I'm a survivor," and Tyler stands up, and I cried so much in that scene. So that was a really good scene. Now season 4, I don't know what the point of season 4 was actually. Like, honestly, there are 10 episodes in season 4, but I just don't know what the point was. Come, good girl. Okay, I have a little guest with me. Alright, so before I go into like the storyline and stuff, I do want to talk about the characters because I feel like, where are you going? Yeah, I do want to talk about the characters because I do feel that I have some thoughts. Let's start with Clay. Clay obviously is in a lot of mental distress after season 3 where they framed Monty, and apparently now is dating Ani, which I'm a bit confused about. Like, they have literally no chemistry on screen whatsoever, but I think that was the point of the show, to show two people who just have no chemistry but are together just because they're trying to save each other the whole time. So in that sense, I think, yeah, it was a good choice to pair them both, but just as a viewer, like watching them was just like there was just no chemistry at all. I do think Dylan Minette's acting in this season was phenomenal. I think the scenes that they portrayed in the show of showing him practically losing his mind, I feel like they might be portrayed as crazy or dramatized or glamorized, or I'm not really sure. I haven't really read any other reviews online because I just wanted to get my thoughts across without being any way biased, shape or form, or influenced by the thoughts of others. But yeah, I just feel like I don't know what they were trying to get at. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm sure there was a very big purpose But like with season 3, I really felt it. I felt the journey of survivors of sexual assault and how they were taking a stand, and that was the message that really came across and really hit hard. But with this season, I didn't have that same impact that I had with the other seasons. They wanted to show us mental health, and I think they did, but it was just a little bit all over the place. I like that they showed Clay in therapy, and I like that they showed therapy quite realistic in the sense that, I mean, well, okay, realistic is a bit of a stretch. And it's a good step to showing, first of all, how hard it is for teenagers to ask for help, and that too, when they get help, it's not just sunshine and roses. In therapy it doesn't just mean that, you go in one session and you're fine after that. Like, it's a very long progress. And there were a lot of lines that he said, like, I've been coming here for so long, how come there's no progress? And I think those were very subtle but very on point, and it was a good representation. The scenes where he was practically losing his mind and having those really like scary scenes, I think those were directed very well. The one I'm talking about is the blood shower. I think that was amazingly shot, because I was just like, huh? The whole time I didn't understand what was going on at all. Was it real? Was it fake? Was it in his head? And that would put us so well in the shoes of Clay, because that's exactly what he's thinking. Is this real? Is this not? Is this in my head? So I think that was executed quite well. The way that they were trying to put us in Clay's shoes. And of course, the scene where he was in the mental hospital, and he was chained, tied down to the bed, it really broke my heart. But the whole escape part was just a bit like, that doesn't happen. You can't just slide out of a hospital. So yeah, in that sense, I think Clay was a very important character this season, but I don't feel his message came across very strongly. Okay, the next person I want to talk about is Jessica. Jessica has always been one of my favorite characters from the show, just because of her character growth, character development. Her story is just so empowering, and there were a lot of things that she said in this show that I was like, this is actually very relatable to a lot of the public that watches this show as well. So Jessica, she was sexually assaulted in season 1. In season 2, she was in denial, and as she should have been, because it's such a traumatic event that happened, and she came to terms with it. And in season 3, she fully became an advocate for sexual assault, and she completely was a badass. Like, she really showed strength, and she's just such an inspiration as a character, because she also doesn't show herself completely perfect all the time. She got back together with Justin, the person who allowed her to get raped. She's a teenager, she's a kid, and whatever it is, she has gone through something, and she's trying to help everyone else who has gone through something else. So that's why Jessica's always been a very important character in the show. But obviously, as any woman, like, their intentions might be taken across the wrong way. So, and she says this in a graduation speech, which is like, I know that there was a petition signed for me to be removed as president because I'm known as a one-issue president. But then she said something like, well, that is my issue. And I think it brought across a very good message of like, yeah, if someone has gone through something traumatic and if they're in a place to speak about it, I think we should start commending them for actually speaking about it instead of shaming them for not speaking about anything else. So I think that was a very good part of her speech, and you know, how she led the riots, how she didn't stand down, and how she even fought, even though she's a person of color, and even though she is the school president and she was involved in Bryce's murder, she still wanted to fight. So I really liked Jessica this season. She was such a big support system for Clay as well, even though, you know, she had her thing with Justin and whatever, but I like that wasn't really the focus for the season. You know, there's always, Justin and her's love story has always been like here and there, and they've always been like Bonnie and Clyde, you know. But I feel like this season, Jessica really, I don't know, was her own person. And I really liked that, and I liked the friendship that she developed with Clay as well. Okay, so let's talk about Justin. Justin was a little bit underwhelming for me this season. I think he acted his best in season 2 and season 3. He was a very important character because he also came out as a victim of sexual assault, a male victim, and also he kind of he and Clay, they became such brothers from two people that hated each other. The brotherhood that they had with each other was just so interesting to watch and so heartwarming to watch. And how Clay took care of him and how he took care of Clay through his drug abuse. And it was just such an interesting thing to watch. Now, he came home in the beginning of the season, he came home clean and happy, and that made me really happy. And I was actually really proud of him for ending things with Jessica, because he said that needs to be his priority right now. And that was a very, very brave thing for him to do, and I really liked that, and it showed maturity on his part, it showed growth on his character's part. But throughout the season, it kind of like disappeared. Suddenly he was like jealous of Diego and Jessica. Again, normal things to happen to a teenager. But I just felt like I was a bit confused, because they came up with such a strong beginning of how he's going to end things with Jessica and work on himself, and suddenly he's like blaming Jessica later on for ruining the relationship and don't know what. Like, he's just angry at Jessica, but really he's the one that ended things. And there was one scene that I really, really liked when they were at prom. Justin tells Jessica, "I love you more than life itself," and Jessica was like, "You should not love anything more than life itself." And I really, really liked that. Obviously, Justin and Jessica's relationship is very complicated, toxic even, maybe. At the same time, there is this love and connection there that is just, it's undeniable. And I think these are two people that will always be connected no matter what. I want to talk about Zach. I feel like Zach was very unnecessary this season. He just went completely like off the rails, but for what reason, I don't know. You know, everyone had their reason for going off the rails at whatever point in the show, but Zach this season was completely a mess. And I was like, okay, interesting storyline, but where is this going? He's drinking all the time, he's doing drugs, he's you know, paying women for sex and escorts, and okay, and but what is the reason behind it? What's the story behind it? I didn't get that. That didn't hit me at all. That I completely missed that. I was waiting for some revelation, like, oh my god, he's going through some turmoil, but what is he going through? The fact that he beat up Bryce on the day he died, or what? Like, it was just not clear at all. So I was just very confused. Like, why is Zach going like that? Like, what is the reason? It just never got explained. Every episode he was getting worse and worse. I was like, okay, and why? The character I really did like was Alex. First of all, I just feel like Alex looked extremely handsome this season. Like, he looked handsome. He looked very charming this season, which is always a pleasure to watch on screen. But there was something about his character that showed a lot of... It was just very interesting to see someone navigate his sexuality, asking questions, and finally falling in love. And of course, Alex has dealt with, you know, the heightenings of depression and also attempting suicide and being unsuccessful with it. And I think a lot of this time in season 1, you know, we always focus on like what happens to someone after suicide, what happens to the people. But Alex is a really good character in showing what happens to someone who commits suicide or attempts to but fails. And then he is left with injuries, he's left with brain damage, he's left with a family that is so scared, he's left with friends that are so scared that he might do it again. And he's left with this trauma of a gunshot, and how he just feels like he can never be happy. And there was another scene where he was dancing with Charlie on the prom floor, and he said, "There will always be a part of me that's unhappy, but right now I'm the happiest I've ever been," or something like that. And that really, really like explains very well what it is to have something that is dark inside of you but still choosing to be happy. You're acknowledging that, or rather he was acknowledging that there was going to be always this darkness inside of him, but that didn't stop him from wanting happiness in the end. And I'm so happy that he found happiness. I think the character that I'm most like was rooting for this season was Alex, because he really, really like, he showed friendship with Tyler, he showed love with Charlie. I think I just really liked his character this season. Charlie was such a cutie this season. He was very sweet. Not much of a very big character this season, but just the way he took care of Alex and the way that he showed his love. I mean, the whole prom thing, asking Alex to go to prom, was the sweetest thing. I was smiling from ear to ear the whole time, and it just really made me very happy watching that. So yeah, a little bit on Charlie. Winston, not much to say about him. I mean, he was in love with Monty and he was trying to find his actual... he was trying to get justice and get him exonerated, which I completely understand. I do think what the kids did was wrong. No matter what Monty did, Monty was an animal and a criminal, but he was also a human being so he didn't deserve to have his name rubbed through the grass like that. But anyway, Winston was trying to crack that, and at the end, when Winston let it go because he loved Alex, I found that a little bit like underwhelming as well. Like, because we know that Winston just met Alex. Like, there's no way he could have fallen in love that fast. Or maybe he could, I don't know. But that love was just not really shown that well for me to be like, okay, so this is why he's not going to go ahead with his evidence, because he loves Alex. I was just like, okay, so this is a good way to close the show, basically, and make sure everyone has a happy ending. A few things I want to highlight. Let's talk about the episode where there was the riot. Actually, no, before that, let's talk about the episode with the school drill. That was a very hard episode to watch, and as a student that is not in America and does not face that, I would love to know how you felt about it. If you know anyone who studies in America and who has to face the fear of being shot in school, we will never be able to understand that. So I think that episode was not something that was meant for us. It was meant for students who have to face that on a daily and who have to face drills and how traumatic that was. So I don't want to speak too much on that, but I do question, why was it put in the show? What was their intention again? Like, I do want to find out more about that, because, you know, they had an almost school shooting with Tyler almost shooting everyone and saving Tyler, which I loved that arc. But with this drill, to show the trauma, was it to show the trauma of the kids? Was it to show that this is what kids have to go through? The message was a little bit unclear. It was a really good episode on its own, and thankfully it was a drill and not a real school shooting, but it was a very good episode on its own. I think the trauma that we saw the kids go through, the fear that we saw the kids go through, the having to phone their parents, that was very, very scary to watch, and I think it just opened my eyes a little bit more. But again, the message behind the episode, a little bit unclear. Yes, Justin dying, we can talk about that plot. It was very like, huh? Again, what is your point? I think the whole problem with this season for me was that I was missing the point. I was missing the like lesson, the something, you know, I don't know, I was just missing the point. I mean, it was a very sad time. I was crying my eyeballs out the entire time. But his acting, phenomenal. It was truly phenomenal. My God, like, Justin has always been such an interesting character, and to see him suffer this fate and show the realism of what it is to be an addict at that age, and having to lose his mom to OD, and him trying to get his future on track, and for him to have no future in the end. You know, he had a college offer and he couldn't even go to it anymore. That really broke my heart. Whether or not I think that was necessary for the show, I think it was definitely an interesting storyline. It was definitely an interesting turn I didn't see coming at all. But it was just very sad. I really was crying non-stop, and I think that was a little bit satisfying to see Clay and Justin finally become brothers again, because throughout the entire show they were just at each other, and I was just like, where is this? I want to see the brotherhood between them, because that's what I look forward to in the show. But it only came at the end, so that was a little bit disappointing for me. But anyway, better late than never. Another episode I want to talk about is the college interview episode. This one was a little bit weird for me. Like suddenly they were reciting all the truths in their interviews, and again, I don't think that really happens. I'm sure in a college interview, especially in America, like, you really need to like sell yourself and like get that school. But I just feel like, what was going on? Like, they were just being too truthful in those interviews, and I was like, this is very cheesy. So there were some lines in the whole show that was just like, this is not how normal people talk to each other. You know, they were very scripted lines. They didn't feel natural. And I think that's where the show kind of like went a bit haywire, where the script itself was just like hard hitting. There was no normal conversation. A little bit there was, I think, between Zach and Alex. I think there was a little bit of like normal conversation between teenagers. But like, they were just like, for example, Alex and Winston, they're just getting to know each other, and they're already talking about like such deep stuff in like the first episode. I'm like, that's not what happens. But again, it's a show. It is what it is. Oh, another character I really want to talk about is Tony. I didn't talk about him. He was also really good this season. I think a lot of the sub-characters were very interesting this season. The way he was fighting for his life, and how he wanted to pay homage to his father for the shop and not sell it and not go to college. And like, it's like, oh my God, such a bright future being wasted away, and someone who thinks that he's not deserving of college, and seeing him fight and seeing him win. And also in season 3, his parents got deported. That was a very interesting and very sad reality that a lot of people have to go through in America. So it was very interesting to see his storyline, and I love his relationship with Caleb, even though it's a little bit weird because Caleb is like, I'm not sure how much older than him, and he's a child, but I like to see the relationship. I think there's a very healthy relationship because Caleb is constantly pushing him to make the right choices, to take care of him, but also let him do his thing. And he's not like overprotective. He's not like all over the place over Tony. He is very, he's just there for Tony. He's very much like his best friend, but also his lover. And I really, really enjoyed watching Caleb and Tony's relationship on screen. I think that relationship has the most chemistry out of any single relationship in that show. Caleb and Tony, and second would be Justin and Jessica. Last would be Clay and Ani. Jessica letting go of Bryce, Clay and Jessica having that friendship, especially, sorry, digressing, but in the funeral scene where Jessica just went and sat with Clay, I really want to see their friendship. I'm sad that I can't see more of their friendship, but I think their friendship was one of the highlights of the season. How they are not like best friends, but they know that they always have each other's back. Back to the ending scene, it was a very, very heartwarming scene. I think, you know, it's what they were saying was right. Like, if none of this happened, obviously lives would have been saved, but they also were looking at the silver lining, and that they gained a solid friendship through the trauma. And it was just very, very, I think the ending of the entire series was just very nice. There was no mystery, there was just heartwarming, and that's what I really, really liked about how they ended off the show. I do think season 4, in conclusion, I do think season 4 could have been better a little bit, but I will take what I get. I did enjoy the show. Season 4 was a little bit like what's happening. The last few episodes were good. If you haven't watched the show, I would suggest just watch it. Season 1, season 2 were good. Season 3 was educational. Season 4 was just a bit like, I'm not sure what's happening. But it is an important show to watch. I think no matter the controversy behind it, I do think that they bring across very important messages, and it's very easy for people to hop on a bandwagon to hate a show without actually listening to what they have to say. So yeah, those are my thoughts on season 4 and just the entire 13 Reasons Why series. Let me know what you think about the show below, and if you want to engage in like any conversation about the show, I would love to talk about it. I love talking about TV shows and, you know, characters and things like that. So please let me know what you think about it. Please like this video if you enjoyed it, and if you want more reviews or whatever this is, and subscribe to my channel for more videos. I will see you all in my next video.